Abend, mein Kinder. It is me, Death's Head, again. I've decided to make this video just as something that's been in a similar vein to the Bolt on the Road. It's just more of a socially relevant commentary on things that are happening at the moment. But this particular one is to be titled Das Kind, das den Wolf rief. Or for those non-Deutsch speaking viewers, the child that cried wolf. I shall now recite to you the child that cried wolf. One day in a village in far off Deutschland, or what used to be known as Germany, there was little Hans. Hans was a free-spirited lad who enjoyed roaming around. He was only about 8 at the time. He enjoyed roaming around the Black Forest and collecting elderberries and dancing and doing whatever he does in his lederhosen, and doing whatever, of Germanic pastimes, that took up his day when he wasn't, allowing in millions of illiterate Muslim immigrants from the third world into his own country. and one day Hans was, as I say, cavorting around the Black Forest, and he happened to spy a wolf. He saw the wolf, and the wolf was simply going about what it does, it was foraging, it was with its family. The she-wolf was with him, was with the male, and they were basically just doing what wolves do there, they were looking for food, they were just making sure that the environment was safe for them, and what have you. And the wolf spied Hans. The wolf looked directly at Hans. And Hans was struck. He was like, "Oh my God, there's a Ach mein Lieber, excuse me, Ach mein Gott, a Wolfen, das is a Wolfen," was looking at him, and he didn't know what to do. He was stricken with fear. The wolf simply looked at him, it sniffed the air a bit, and then it plodded back into the Black Forest. Hans was shaken by this. He didn't know what to do. He was like very, very scared, but also quite excited at the prospect of the wolves living in, the Black Forest, and he wondered what he can do about this. So Hans was a bit of a renowned around the town as being a bit of a storyteller, and so Hans he's having a bit of a slow day. It was only a Wednesday, and his parents hadn't told him any more stories about Germanic folklore about the Krampus, carried off to hell for being a bad child, and Saint Nicholas was still a number of months away from being due to give him presents and not drag him to hell, and so he's like, I'm going to pretend that I was attacked by a wolf. So he decides to, because as I say, it's been a slow day. He decides to, roll around in the dirt a little bit and get a bit roughed up and mess his hair around and tear his lederhosen, and starts walking back to the village. Chucks off a couple of he tears a bit of his shoe up and loses the other shoe, and so he goes back to. He runs back to the village, screaming, "Help! Help! I've been attacked! Help! Help!" And the other farmers in the village see young Hans running to them, and they're like, "Oh my word! What's happening? Mein Gott, Hans! What has happened to you?" And he tells his farmers, his two men, the wolf attacked him, and they're like, "Och, mein Lieber, we'd best get you inside." And so they take him inside, and they to their farmhouse, and they tend to his wounds, and then they eventually call Hans' parents around, and they come and hear Hans' story about how a wolf attacked him. And so Hans' father says to him, "My son, do not worry yourself. We will take care of this problem." And Hans is like, "Oh, thank you, Papa." He goes back. "Thank you, Vater." He goes back home and has his dinner, and his mother's a bit distressed, but he he has his shower or his evening bath, and he goes to bed. In the morning, there's a town meeting, and Hans's parents are taken to this meeting, and the city mayor is there, and he calls to order this meeting, and one of the townspeople says, we discovered Hans had been attacked by a wolf. And the mayor's like, well, yes, what is your proposal? And the farmer's like, I propose we go kill this wolf. And the mayor's like, yes, that is the only recourse if we have, if wolves are encroaching upon our space, they're going to become a threat to our livestock. You farmer Sven, you have, sorry, not farmer Sven, I don't know, you farmer Deutsch, you have livestock and other expensive animals on your land. You must protect your land. And the other townspeople agree and said, yes, let's get together a posse, and let's go kill the wolf. And so Hans is there the whole time, and he's like, oh shit, this is going a little bit too far. He starts getting sort of pangs of guilt, and he's like, mein Vater, he says to his father, and his father's like, don't worry, Hans, we'll get this bloody wolf. This wolf will be brought back dead, and we'll skin it and we'll hang it in our living room. And so the posse of men go out into the Black Forest, and they end up encountering a wolf, and not the she wolf that Hans encountered, but they encounter a wolf, and they take tracking dogs with them and stuff like this, and so they encounter the male wolf that Hans saw when he was foraging or roaming around the Black Forest, and so they assume that this is the only wolf excuse me, roaming around the Black Forest, and they shoot and they kill it, and they think they're very successful. And so they drag the wolf's carcass back, they skin it and they stuff it, and it sits in Hans's lounge room atop his fireplace, and his father's very happy. And this is the end of the story, as the townspeople believe it to be. Hans is very confused about this situation. He doesn't know what to make of it, because if anyone had questioned Hans to any extent, they would have worked out that his story was completely fabricated. That, to be assaulted by a wolf would really require him to be dead. But, he apparently managed to get away with a couple of scrapes and scratches without being, murdered. But anyway, so a few weeks pass, and Hans decides to go back into the Black Forest. And he's roaming around and thinks that, there's no danger to him now, because, he saw the wolf to be, killed a number of weeks ago. And the farmers all feel a bit more secure that knowing their livestock is safe. And so he travels a bit deeper than normal, because he's feeling a bit more confident this time, and he's like, yes, I'm going to collect some mushrooms in the centre of the forest. And so he does this, and he goes and collects the mushrooms, and he sees some mushrooms what he wants, and he goes and starts picking them, and this mushroom patch happens to be just around, very, very close, if not on top of the den of wolves that he encountered before. But now this den of wolves is lacking one member, which was their alpha wolf. However, the she-wolf and 5 of her cubs are still quite well and truly alive, and the scent of Hans is pretty well stuck in their nose. And given that the alpha wolf was unable to find any more, the alpha wolf was killed, these wolves have not been eating very well recently. They haven't had much meat. There hasn't been much game, because they've been too fearful of going out to hunt. And this fat little Deutschland boy is picking mushrooms, and he would make a fine meal. So They start circling upon him, and he manages to see the wolves, and he starts backing away, and starts running, starts moving rather quickly toward the entrance of the Black Forest. Unfortunately, the she-wolf begins to attack Hans, and she tears him. She bites him a number of times, and he manages to pull away, and he runs with all the strength that his little legs can have, but his arm is barely hanging on. He has serious lacerations. He's got quite a serious amount of internal bleeding going on and the wolf bit him and threw him around. It has severed his aortic artery. So Hans doesn't have very particularly long to live. And his face has been smashed over. He's got a torn ear. He's got a broken eye socket. Things quite seriously injured. And he's running as fast as he can back to the entrance of the Black Forest. He finally manages to reach the edge of the forest, and he sees the two farmers there again. And he says, "Help! Help! I've been attacked by a wolf! Help! Help! It is real! The wolf is real!" And the farmers look at Hans, and they're like, "Oh, little Hans, we know you're simply playing a game. You wouldn't lie to us about such a thing. You know that a wolf is a dangerous wild animal and will kill you very easily." And Hans is dripping blood at this point, and he says, "But I'm not lying. There is a wolf. It has attacked me." And the farmer's like, "Oh, Hans, you little storyteller, you." And they go back to tending their fields and their flock of animals. And so Hans has to walk back to this, he's dripping blood, and everyone's looking at Hans and going, "Oh, Hans, that is an excellent costume you put on. Ha, ha, ha." And Hans says to his father, "But father, I have been attacked. There is a wolf." And his father's like, "Hans, but you can see the wolf in front of you. We have killed the wolf. We have stuffed the wolf. It's above the mantelpiece. You're just being silly. Go up to bed. It's too late now." And so Hans goes up to bed, still dripping with blood everywhere, and dies in his sleep from his serious injuries. So concludes the story of a Kinder and the wolf. The Kinder who cried wolf. So, my point being is that when a person or people say something or accuse someone of something, in the case of, "Oh, that person over there," or I should be more specific, "that man over there 45 years ago touched me in what I consider to be inappropriately," you better have some evidence to back this up, because if you don't have any evidence, people are going to stop believing you pretty quickly, because accusations are simply accusations. Even though they may destroy a person's career, if you have no evidence, you have no credibility. If you didn't call police about an incident 45 years ago, you don't have a fucking case in my mind. So the boy who cried wolf is going to be seeing a lot more. We're going to be seeing a lot more of this in the next coming weeks, because of the fact that the Me Too campaign is going to crash and burn very, very soon. And I, for one, am going to be sitting here rubbing my hands together going, "I told you so." But at least I was never the one to cry wolf, because when I make an accusation against someone, I have rock solid evidence. I'm not one to cry wolf. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye for now.